we live in a world awash in baseless conspiracy theories, and the sad paradox is that being flooded with theories that assume secret, powerful cabals of bad actors actually makes it harder to recognize real conspiracies when they happen, because they're often more boring than you'd imagine. In this episode, you'll hear commentary comparing the Epstein case with Hannah Arendt's insights gleaned from watching the trial of the Nazi Adolf Eichmann in Israel. This is where she coined the famous term, the banality of evil, the point of which was that carrying out the logistics of genocide in the Holocaust was not actually the act of inhuman monsters, but more like boring bureaucrats. So whether we're talking about the conspiracy of the Holocaust, the conspiracy of Jeffrey Epstein, Watergate, capitalism, all on down the line, the key to understanding how they actually work is that real conspiracies tend to be done by boring people doing boring work, following boring motivations. Motivations for the enablers are things like greed, careerism, simple self-preservation, that kind of stuff. And their actions are mostly just regular people being made to do seemingly regular work, which ends up generating paper trails. This is why real conspiracies never stay secret for too long once they're being investigated. People are messy and leave tons of evidence. In contrast, baseless conspiracy theories tend to be centered on perceived hyper-competent villains, flawless coordination, and perfect execution with no leaks, except for, of course, a few special truth seekers who can see the truth and read between the lines or whatever. We're learning today about the structural forces that moved into action to protect Epstein, and the key takeaway from nearly all of them is that people didn't need to be in on it in order to play a role in the systems that allowed it to continue. Ordinary people following ordinary incentives can create extraordinary harm. When systems reward profit and power over people and accountability, the rest of the details of exactly how the rich and powerful will abuse their power and get away with it will just sort of work themselves out. Those details don't need to be micromanaged. But it's that same sort of loose arrangement of structural forces allowing abuses of power that also make the way the conspiracy plays out messy with a huge paper trail. And it's that messiness that tends to be the best evidence that the conspiracy is real rather than made up. The appeal of baseless conspiracy theories is that they're simpler and easier to understand, which is actually precisely why they're wrong. Identifying a cabal of bad actors is much simpler than untangling a system of interconnected structural forces. And if the bad actors can be clearly identified, then the rest of us must be innocent, which also feels good. Plus, it makes the conspiracy theorist feel special to believe that they can see what others have missed. And all of this adds up to a very comforting feeling compared to the messiness of reality, the gray areas of culpability, and the structural forces that can push otherwise good people to contribute to evil outcomes. The most harmful belief is that in order to create a great deal of harm, there must be a coordinated cabal of masterminds working behind the scenes. Because if that were true, it would let the rest of us off the hook. The truth is that ordinary people following ordinary incentives within systems that value wealth and power over humanity, capitalism, I'm looking at you, will create extraordinary amounts of harm, always. And if the problem is systemic like that, rather than secretly conspiratorial, then we're all responsible for changing it.